what happened to you? How did that intimacy change for you because of what happened?
I just had to be patient. And like I said, I had moved back in with my parents, and I have a boyfriend, and he's not really allowed to stay over. So I had to wait. He lives with his aging mother in the basement. So I waited, and he finally was able to create a space for us that was,
That was appropriate.
and it was like many, many months.
This is Recovery After Stroke with Bill Gassiamis, helping you go from where you are to where you'd rather be.
Bill from recoveryafterstroke.com. This is episode 79, and my guest today is Erica Wassar. Erica experienced a stroke at 37, and at the time of this recording is about 18 months post-stroke. One of the challenges Erica is overcoming is that it takes some time to get to the answers of my questions. The editing in this episode has removed most of those gaps. However, I've purposely left some in to demonstrate how much longer it takes for the brain to process things after stroke. Listen out for the long gaps of silence from time to time. Now, since I started sharing with listeners of this podcast about the $149 offer for private coaching with the Recovery After Stroke Forum, I have had 3 listeners sign up for the 7-day free trial. And now they are receiving support to help them navigate their recovery after stroke. That means that there are only 7 places left at the annual amount of $149 for unlimited private forum coaching before the price goes up to $199. So if you are a stroke survivor that wants to know how to heal your brain, overcome fatigue, and reduce anxiety, this may be for you. Realizing that the amount of support drastically declined once stroke patients leave hospital motivated me to create a way to support stroke survivors so that no one has to do it as hard as my family did. If you have fallen in the cracks between hospital and home care and desire to gain momentum in your recovery, but do not know where to start, this is where I can help. I will coach you and help you gain clarity on where you are currently in your recovery journey. I will help you create a picture of where you would like to be in your recovery 12 months from now, and I will coach you to overcome what's stopping you from getting there. During coaching, I will also teach you the 10 steps to brain health for stroke survivors and guide you through each step with supporting interviews from experts and information that is based on the latest scientific research. Some of those steps include training on the type of mindset required for an ongoing successful recovery and how to decrease the anxiety created by the thoughts of another stroke. There'll be a module on emotional intelligence, which will help manage those out of control emotions. Information about the gut and how a healthy gut is the first step to a healthy brain. And we will cover nutrition and the kind of food required for reducing fatigue. And there will also be a module on how to improve sleep and much, much more. If you are one of the next 7 people to join Recovery After Stroke Coaching, you will get a one-on-one private coaching thread with me, access to the course 10 Steps to Brain Health for Stroke Survivors when released, access to member-only monthly group training calls, and access to the Stroke Survivors private forum. The next 7 people to join will also get more than 70% off the full price of $599, and 12 months of access will only cost you $149 per year. Be one of the first 10 people to apply for Recovery After Stroke Coaching now and get the first 7 days free. After the 7-day free trial, you will pay the annual amount of only $149, and the price of renewal will never increase for as many years that you stay a member. Once the first 10 coaching packages are sold at that price, that price will never be offered again. So take advantage of the 7-day free trial now by clicking below if you are watching on YouTube or going to recoveryafterstroke.com if you are listening online. And now it's on with the show.
Hello, Australia.
Hello.
It's me, Erica, from the Jersey Shore. I'm the Jersey girl here.
How are you, Erica? And welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Pleased to be here.
Yeah, it's so good to have you here. Before I get into the questions and finding out a little bit more about you, tell me a little bit about what happened to you, Erica.
Well, it was a cold, snowy day And on March 7th, 2018, I woke up with an extreme headache. I had gotten a new job and I called out of work. I don't feel good. I texted my sister, who was my roommate, and said, "Something's going on. Can you get me a drink from the kitchen downstairs?" I was on the third level of a condo, and she never got the message. Somehow stumbled down to the first floor. I'm not quite sure how I did because I couldn't get out of the bed. I got to the bathroom on time, and so I'm sitting on the kitchen floor, and my sister comes downstairs and goes, "What's this? What's happening?" She was getting coconut water, and I said, "I don't know, Rach. I don't feel good. Something's not right. I have lower extremity weakness and severe headache." And she goes, "Well, something's happening to your face." And I was like, "What do you mean? What's happening to my face?" And then I started like spitting out my right side of my face. And I'm like, "Oh man." It's like, "Oh, Rach, I think I'm having a stroke." She goes, "Do you want me to call mom? Our mom is a registered nurse." I said, "Yeah." She FaceTimed my mom, and my mom was assessing me. And I said, "Mom, I think I'm having a stroke." She goes, "I think you are too. Rachel, call 911 now." It was snowing that day. My sister's a dance teacher, and the schools were closed down. So it was a miracle, and all the angels were helping me out that she was home in the first place. She calls 911, and they came to get me and said the symptoms were consistent with stroke. They rushed me to the hospital.
How old were you at the
My
time?
38, my sister saved my life. My mother saved my life. The angels saved my life.
That's pretty cool. So you went to hospital, they admitted you, and what did they discover about what caused the stroke?
They said there was a tear in the artery of my neck. I ended up having not a hemorrhagic, but an ischemic. I had an ischemic stroke. So they went in and did emergency surgery, removed the clot, and then 24 hours later, I ended up back in surgery because during the surgery, I had a bleed.
It bled out of the blood vessel.
Yeah.
So when you woke up from surgery, what was different about you?
I don't know. It's kind of a blur. I don't really remember. I think it was so traumatic that I blocked it out.
So I suppose then the question is, what's different about you now compared to yourself a
Yeah.
couple of years before the stroke, in with regards to physically, and then emotionally, and perhaps even cognitively?
Well, physically, I have the most changes. I'm hemiplegic on my left side. My left arm is flaccid completely. I have some visual changes, but only in small print. So I just need large print. My speech is unchanged. My memory is impaired. Short term, long term is intact. I still have my positive attitude, and that sustained me through the entire time that I was in rehab.
Yeah, you definitely have a positive attitude. I noticed that on your posts on Instagram.
It's okay.
And then even though you kept forgetting our appointment for the interview,
That only happened the first time.
we this is the fourth attempt for this
I
interview.
know, but the second time we didn't have internet. The third time, the microphone
Yeah.
didn't have hearings. So this is the fourth time. I only forgot the first time.
I've
But
got to
yeah,
say,
it's the fourth.
it's the
I'm
record.
so
It is the record for
oh
the amount of times I've had to reschedule an interview.
woo!
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
not a
made
bad
it.
record. um, and also your perseverance and your determination
Yeah,
to just get it
that's
done
right.
strikes me as what it was that is helping you in your recovery,
Yeah,
your sheer
right.
determination and your perseverance.
That's right.
So, so how about emotionally? How has it affected you emotionally? Is it something that you've found has shifted in you? Has it enhanced something in you? What's the difference there?
Well, that's actually an interesting question because before the stroke, I had generalized anxiety disorder and I had insomnia, and the stroke completely changed that. I am able to get to sleep, and I sleep, between 2 and 6 hours every night. It's hilarious.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic. Isn't that an amazing
yeah,
outcome from stroke?
yeah, right.
Don't try that at
I
home,
went,
people. Any other
no,
insomniacs listening, do not try that at home.
I went in and out of an emotional roller coaster between, anxiety, depression several times throughout the this experience. I'm in a little bit of depression now, but I'm pushing through every day.
Are you getting medicated for that depression?
I'm on an antidepressant for anxiety
And
that's stabilized that and Xanax stabilize my anxiety, and meditation I do daily.
If you've had a stroke and are in recovery, you'll know what a scary and confusing time it can be. You're likely to have a lot of questions going through your mind, like, how long will it take to recover? Will I actually recover? What things should I avoid in case I make matters worse? Doctors will explain things, but obviously because you've never had a stroke before, you probably don't know what questions to ask. If this is you, you may be missing out on doing things that could help speed up your recovery. If you're finding yourself in that situation, stop worrying and head to recoveryafterstroke.com, where you can download a guide that will help you. It's called 7 Questions to Ask Your Doctor About Your Stroke. These 7 questions are the ones Bill wished he'd asked when he was recovering from a stroke. They'll not only help you better understand your condition, they'll help you take a more active role in your recovery. Head to the website now, recoveryafterstroke.com, and download the guide. It's free.
How would you describe your feeling of being slightly depressed? Like, what is that like for you to experience that physically? Is it physically? Is it cognitively? How do you experience it?
It's hard to get going. It takes a lot of cognitive cheering on my side in my brain to get me to do things.
Is that because you're experiencing fatigue as well?
Some days I do, but most of the time I have a pretty good amount of energy.
Okay.
I'm a high energy person. I exercised a lot before the stroke.
How long did you spend in recovery? Do you have an idea of how long you spent in rehabilitation before you got home?
I did rehabilitation for a few months, and then I came home, and then I went back in the hospital to get the other half of my skull placed back in. And then I reached out to my doctor and asked him, "Am I a candidate for the second chance stroke program at this rehabilitation place?" And he said, "Yes, you are. I'm glad you reached out. I'll let the team know that you're coming back." So then I went back a second time, and then I was only there for like 4 to 6 weeks or something like that. Yeah.
How come they had half of your skull off of your head
Well, they needed to remove it to remove the clot.
and then they left it off
It's
to support the brain in its when it was swelling? Or
Well, it was swelling. Yeah, it was swollen. It's called a cranioplasty when they put it back on.
that's pretty
I
cool.
like that smile, Bill.
Thank you. I like your smile too, but that's pretty
Did
cool.
you know that smiling changes the neurotransmitters in your brain? It actually increases your serotonin and dopamine just by smiling. Your brain doesn't realize it can only detect the one emotion. You can't be happy and sad at the same time, peaceful and angry. I practice smiling every day, just smiling.
You're a bit of a smiling
Yeah.
person. I see. I noticed that, and it is good.
Yeah.
It's a great lesson for people listening and watching about how really, if you're not very mobile and you can just smile on a daily basis or find something to laugh at or find something to smile at, that you can have really massive cognitive benefits by doing that. And I remember many years ago when I used to see a counselor, a psychologist, she used to ask me, I think I was around 25, so it's a good 20 years ago. She used to ask me what kind
Yeah.
of movies I watch. And I would tell her I watch the standard 25-year-old kind of action movies and people getting killed and shut up and all that kind of stuff. If you're feeling sad or
The
unwell,
dangerous and
grab some comedies and watch some movies that make you laugh.
yeah, the violent ones aren't really gonna change your brain chemistry too much. Comedy is where it's at, right?
Yeah, that's right. They're not going to change your chemistry in a positive way, that's for sure. They might change it in a negative way, but
Right.
it really
Yeah.
does go to show how much what you consume, whether you're consuming that in food or you're consuming that in television or in a Netflix series or wherever you're
Yeah.
consuming your information, how that really can impact your life. So that's a great thing that you said there about how you try and smile.
It's like that Charlie Chaplin song, "Smile."
What kind of
I
work?
would sing it for you, but I was not able to sing since I had my stroke. I lost my singing ability. I used to sing in choir for many years, like since high school. I can't sing anymore on key. It's like the biggest tragedy because my whole family is very musical.
Okay, so you've lost the ability to reach certain notes.
Sing on key at all. When I first tried to sing my boyfriend happy birthday, I forgot the words to happy birthday. And it didn't matter because I just, kind of spoke them and he got the message. But then I practiced a couple times and now this year I can sing happy birthday. Well, not sing, but say happy birthday. Isn't that funny?
That was that was almost
you
singing.
you got to find the humor in everything.
Yeah. In Melbourne, in Australia, where I live, I met some people
Yeah.
who experienced a stroke a few years back, and the two ladies somehow found each other. They had both experienced a stroke, but their voices actually changed from an Australian accent, a European accent, and
Oh, they lost their little. What kind of European accent?
it kind of sounded like a really bizarre, bad French accent. And
Oh,
when
oh
you
my
talk,
God.
I thought that they were putting it on, but they weren't
Yeah.
putting it on. And one of them had a slightly different version of a European accent. I don't know what it was,
Yeah.
but the accents seemed so bizarre. It seemed like they were putting it on, but they told me that it was because of the stroke. They lost their regular Australian accent and it just changed and became something else,
Oh, that's a shame because that's what connects them.
something different. I hear so many strange things that people experience after stroke. Tell me, what are some of the things that you're missing out on at the moment that you hope to be able to get back?
I like, as I said, was very active before, so I was always exercising. I used to do a triathlon. I trained for a sprint triathlon, so I was able to swim for a quarter mile in the ocean, bike for 15 miles, and then run a mile and a half or two on the boardwalk. I would go to Zumba classes, which are dance classes. And I used to love to dance. I would be the first one on the dance floor, the last one to leave. And I miss that. So, like, all the active things that really make me feel alive. I used to go to music shows, live music shows, and like I would start out being at the back of back of the theater, and all of a sudden, I ended up being like right in front of the band. It was like jumping up and down and literally be on stage by the end of the night. Like that's how into the music I am. I haven't been able to see a live show.
So, what's stopping you from getting there?
Uh, well, I need someone to bring me there. I need supervision, a companion. My brain, I don't really have good judgment, and I moved back into the house with my parents, so they won't let me go unless I have somebody else with me, and I need somebody else to like push me in the wheelchair. Although I don't need the wheelchair to move. Also, my bedtime has changed. I go to bed at 8:30 now, and music doesn't start till like 9 o'clock, and I'd be falling asleep as I was there. Yep, I have an infant bedtime.
So you
I
need,
used to be out.
it
I
sounds like
need
you need
day.
some strong coffee just before 8 o'clock,
Yeah,
just to keep you going for a little bit longer, which I wouldn't really recommend. But if it meant that you got the,
no, that causes me anxiety. I can't drink coffee, even decaf. I'm highly sensitive.
yeah,
Although I do have a, a bit of chocolate. You had started to ask me. I think you were going to ask me what I did for a living before I had the stroke. Is that right?
yeah,
I was actually a registered dietitian at a rehabilitation hospital, taking care of all my patients. And I took care of many stroke patients, ironically, now that I'm the patient. And so when I knew that I needed rehab, I chose the place that I worked at previously because I worked there for over a decade. And I knew all the people there. I trusted them and I got to pick my own doctors, medical doctor. And physiatrist, the rehab doctor. So, and I chose right because they took excellent care of me there. Like I said, I not only went there once, but I went there twice
You went there twice. What was the second reason you went there?
because I got the second half of my skull placed in my brain, and that improved my was supposed to improve my balance. And
Have you had the opportunity to look back on any footage of yourself in your recovery to see how far you've come, and what have you noticed? How much better are you now than you were, say, 6 months ago?
so my sister, she's 22 months younger than me, so about 2 years. She actually filmed some things in the hospital and rehab, and she put together this beautiful tribute to me when I hit a year. You see me come alive again. I mean, really. In the beginning, I had, half my head was shaved because I had to get the surgery, and I had a helmet on, and I had the breathing tubes down my throat, and couldn't breathe without them. And then you see me being held up by the physical therapist in bed because I couldn't hold my body up. I couldn't sit up. And then, a few minutes later, you see me not only sitting up, but transferring in and out of the bed into the wheelchair with a pair of sunglasses on. And I get to go outside for the very first time with my family. And we're outside, and it was great. You literally see me come alive, and she had this beautiful music on in the background, and had words across the screen that she made up herself and said, when things, unimaginable things, and I'm paraphrasing here, when unimaginable things happen, something inside of you doesn't change, and that's your spirit and all these beautiful things. And you are magic, and you are beautiful, or you are strong, and you know, you are light, so be the light, something like that. Anyway, so I watched it when she gave it to me at a year, and then when I turned a year and a half, I watched it again, and I literally saw myself come alive. But something that never left my face, that was my smile, was there the whole time. You see the joy on my face when my little sister comes in, and then my dad comes in the room, and you see me kissing his face. He's got a beard and a mustache, and I'm just kissing, kissing, kissing. And you see it when my mom brings me bubbles, and I blow the bubbles, and they're all over the room. Like there's so many, yeah, reasons that I smiled.
Your smile, did it alter a little bit? Did
Hmm.
your face droop on one side?
Yeah, it was definitely drooped on the left side for a long time, and then as time went on, you know, I smiled more, and I was doing, more swallowing exercises and facial exercises to get my face
To get your face back. Did you
right.
find that the singing, the skill of knowing how to sing and how to use your face and how to use your muscles in your neck and in your head, did you find those skills were transferable to help you retrain your left side to move back into position and for your mouth to become better aligned?
No, but breathing, it helped me stay more calm. Breathing from the diaphragmatic breathing. Like when I got scared, it was time to be brave. It was like, take deep breaths.
What kind of things scared you?
Surgery.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
One of the,
Getting blood. I'm a very hard stick. Them getting blood work and putting an IV in it in my arm.
you become a human pincushion when you're recovering
Yeah.
from stroke, don't you?
Yeah.
They really want to put holes in you as many
Yeah.
places as they can. It's necessary though. So I
Yeah.
found myself just giving them my numb side. So my left side is affected as well,
Oh,
and it's more
okay.
numb. So when they would ask me which side did you want to draw the blood from, I always
Yeah.
chose my left side because I feel the pain less on that side, and
Oh,
the needle doesn't hurt so much. So
right.
one benefit, I suppose, from
Yeah.
numb on one side, I definitely make the most of that.
Are you still numb?
Yeah, so I'm still numb on the entire left side.
Yeah.
I have sensation, but it's altered. It feels like I've sat
Mhm.
on my leg and then you wake up, and then you stand up, and then you have a
Oh,
strange feeling. So my whole left side feels like that. My arm and my hand does prefer to be clenched and does prefer to be, bent and towards my chest. It's kind of where my arm would like to be if I let it. And if I get tired, I find that that's where my arm defaults to. That's where it goes to. It kind of closes up a little bit. So the numbness in my foot makes my foot feel heavier. And when I place it on the ground, I don't. When I get tired, I don't get the response back from the sensation, and sometimes my brain doesn't know where my leg is on the ground, and I get a little bit out of balance. So I have some balance
hmm,
issues, and sometimes when I'm
yeah.
tired, I'll run into a door frame, or I'll run into a wall if the corridor is a narrow corridor. And when I rest up, it's usually much better
Right,
in the morning. But
right.
it takes about
Hmm.
15 minutes for my brain to warm up, so to speak, to start to be paying attention to the left side.
Hmm.
So my first few steps in the morning are a little bit like a drunk person.
Yeah, I get it.
When I came across your Instagram, you were mentioning some of the things that you had been missing. And one of those things you mentioned was intimacy.
Yes, I was just about to say that actually, because it just popped in my head.
So
Yeah,
how did that change? Is that something you're comfortable talking about?
yeah, sure.
So it's a common issue, I would imagine, for many stroke survivors. I I was told that I would need to refrain from doing those things for a little while,
Oh,
and
yeah,
stop myself from going into a high blood pressure situation, because
right.
I had a bleed in the brain. I had a blood
Okay.
burst. But uh, what happened to you? How did that intimacy change for you because of what happened?
I just had to be patient. And like I said, I had moved back in with my parents, and I have a boyfriend, and, he's not really allowed to stay over. So I had to wait. He lives with his aging mother in the basement. So I waited, and he finally was able to create a space for us that was,
That was appropriate.
and it was like many, many months. It's like almost over a year actually that I waited, and then we finally got our privacy in.
Yeah, that's a great thing to get that back, to get intimacy back. But I never
Right.
considered that until just right now. I never considered that one of the reasons why intimacy becomes an issue for people after stroke is because a lot of the time they have people moving in with them, or they move back
Yeah,
with family. That just makes sense.
yeah.
That's a bit awkward. I
Yeah,
thankfully didn't have anyone else move into my house. It was
yeah.
still my wife and I. So
Oh,
it
that's good.
kind of went well when the time came. But
Yeah,
yeah, I never considered that other people are in the house now, and yeah, you need space from them as well, and
yeah.
find a way to make time for your partner.
Right.
That's
And then, having half of my body not work, I was very worried that it would change things.
would it be regular standard type fears of what's my partner going to think and how are they going to respond
Right.
to my body?
So I just, talked about it with him first, communicated to him, and he said, we'll figure it out. I waited this long. I'm like, okay. And then we started to get intimate, and my legs were like a clam. They would not open. It was very awkward. And we looked at each other and just started laughing, like, well, you know what? Maybe we should have a stretch session first. So we did. We, did the V stretching session, and then it was fine. So it's a good thing we both have a good sense of humor. We just laughed. We figured it out. It was great.
That is amazing. That's so funny, but you can see how it can be so scary for some people, and how some partners are not so understanding, and some partners
Right,
might not want to go
right,
down that path with their uh, with their partner who's different or altered or changed, or whatever
right.
you call it.
But there's other things in the relationship that are really important that work with us. And there's been other relationships that I had where, like, there was never anything wrong with intimacy, but the other things, the fundamental thing, were lacking. So, and there was a high emphasis on sex and intimacy, and it wasn't really that important. Now that I see that, I would rather have the other thing.
Yeah, you'd rather have a partner who is understanding,
Right.
willing to be patient, uh,
Yes.
willing to
Patient.
love you regardless
Right.
of what's happened.
That's right. So I do feel that way now.
Yeah, and he's a good technical guy. I saw him setting up your
Yes.
camera.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. He's very high tech. Rich. His name is Rich.
So tell me about what's in store for you in the future. What are your hopes and dreams? What are your plans? What are you thinking about moving forward and how you're going to move forward?
Oh, so there's a little bit of information about me that I didn't share yet. That also the stroke changed, but for the good. I was really suffering with a very um, dangerous eating disorder, many of them, and the stroke has totally changed that. I have a normal and healthy relationship with food now, which is good because I didn't have them before. I had several of the eating disorders. You name it, I had it. Anorexia, bulimia, binge eating. I mean, all of them. I had them all. So I have this idea that I want to go speak to high school students who are of, the teenager who are going through, the puberty time change and their bodies are changing, and talk to them about the dangers of eating disorders and the things that go through your mind when you're a teenager. And I want to share with them the experiences that led me down that road, and how you have to love and accept yourself for how you are, and all the things that you're scared about and you're hypercritical about are the things that are make you special and unique and quirky. So you're never going to be boring because of them. So you know what, just embrace them all. They make you different, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being different, and just so I just have that idea that I want to do that and see if I can touch some of these young minds so that they don't waste any time like I did in my 20s and 30s. So,
That would be a great message. And it's really important because
and that's caused the stroke. It wasn't anything else. It was the night before my stroke, I had a relapse of my bulimia. And that's what I believe in my heart and soul caused the stroke. So, really, only close family and my closest personal friends that are like family to me know that, but I've shared them with them one by one. So being just my whole story about being a registered dietitian that has struggling during eating disorder, actually quit my job because I couldn't take talking about food all day long and triggered me all day. And then I started working with the special needs population because my youngest sister Natalie has special needs and chromosome abnormality, and I actually worked very well with that community because I didn't feel different around them. I didn't feel stupid around them. I felt really intelligent. It worked really well, but it didn't pay the bills. So it stressed me out. But I miss that job. I miss all the relationships I had with my clients. I was very good at it.
I think it's important to talk about the difference. That difference is a good thing for people because when you think about the artists that we all grow to love, musicians and
Right.
actors, etc., it's the reason why they become so prominent is because some of them are so different. If you think about Lady Gaga, Madonna,
Yes, I
Elton
know. I'm such a fan of Lady Gaga.
George Michael, you just name any musician out there that
Yes.
has been around for a long time. It's
Elton John.
because they're different. It's not because
Right.
they're the same. And
Right.
we embrace difference when we
Right.
see it on a stage. We embrace difference when we see it elsewhere on the screen. But what's interesting is that humans, we tend to not embrace difference when somebody is living with a disability that's being created because of a neurological condition or because of stroke or because of some other reason. And we tend to give people with disabilities less fanfare than people who are different but able-bodied that can go on a stage, for example. I suppose difference is something that we need to celebrate, and it's okay to
Yeah.
be different. So I think it'll be a great message that you share that message.
I know nothing about public speaking though, so I have to learn that art.
It's a
Yeah.
performance, and you have
Yeah.
to plan it, and you have to know your words.
Yeah.
You get through that process of knowing what you're going to say and knowing how your
Right.
story unfolds. Then
Yeah.
it's about delivering that in a way that's going to move people, in a way that's going to make people think, and in a way that's going to get them to react.
So that's one idea that I have. And it's a pretty big one. It's just kind of figuring out transportation. But I've decided if I just stay local, then I already have some transportation in my county where I've linked up with them, and I've taken it a couple times to therapy. And, it's relatively low cost, a few dollars one way.
Yeah, well,
So,
that's a great thing to be able to aim to do and achieve.
yeah. Yeah. It's big, though. It seems overwhelming to me. So,
It's probably some time away because you're still quite early in your recovery.
yeah.
You get better and better, and you start
Right.
feeling more normal, and you
A little
start
more
getting more clarity,
confident.
start getting back more cognitive abilities as the swelling in your brain
Right.
decreases, the inflammation decreases, and as
Yeah.
the new connections start to occur, notice yourself get a little better and better. So that's why I asked
Good.
earlier if
Yeah.
you have footage of yourself in
Yeah.
recovery in the past. Now,
Yeah.
interview will be great footage because you'll be able to see
Yeah.
yourself in a year from now.
Yeah.
You'll be able to
True.
understand how far you have actually come in a year, and you'll be able to
Yeah.
see where you are at today.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Because the neurosurgeon, I was talking to him, or the neurologist. My biggest problem was that I was having the neuropathy, so pain in the whole left side, especially in my foot, and trying all these different medications and herbs and everything, topicals, you name it, I've been trying it, acupuncture, everything. So yeah, but the neurologist said, Erica, the problem isn't in your foot, it's in your brain. Your brain needs at least a good 2 years to heal. It hasn't even been 2 years yet. In March, it'll be 2 years.
Some of the advice that I got
Yeah.
early on was that for at least 2 years after stroke, somebody should not consume alcohol. And that was
Oh, yeah.
really interesting to me. And basically, when you understand what alcohol does
Well,
and how it inflames things,
it's
it's a good thing.
it's a neurotoxin. Yeah.
So they give you that 2 year window because that's kind of the general understanding of how long recovery
Yeah.
or healing of a brain that has been opened up
Yeah.
and has been prodded and poked and touched and what have you. It's not something
Right.
that's supposed to be accessed under normal circumstances. So when it does
Yeah.
get accessed, it takes a long time to feel normal again and to recover from that. So with time, you'll get to be able to look back and understand that when I said I was at 95%, 1 year post stroke, I was actually nowhere near 95% better. I was probably closer to
Yeah.
60%. And then I had
Yeah.
that word, I had that number for some reason. I kept saying I'm 95% better. And
Yeah.
in my mind, I thought I was, but when I looked back, I realized that actually I wasn't anywhere near 95% better
Uh-huh.
because I had fatigue, I had cognitive issues, but they get better. They heal a lot of the time for a lot of people if you can.
Yeah. Actually, my doctor asked me, "What's the one thing you're gonna do when you go home?" And I said, "Have a beer," because I couldn't get beer at the hospital. I wanted a beer so bad.
Did you get one?
I did. I gave my dad a beer for his birthday, and he still had it in the garage, so he shared it with me. Yeah, so
And
I
then
got that beer.
why not? One beer is okay. You've been through a tough time. If you can,
Right.
if you can
Yeah.
give yourself the
Right.
experience of having one beer
Right.
and that makes you feel your mood lift or it makes you feel better for a small amount of time, then why not?
Yeah.
But
Right. And
we're
it wasn't
talking
even a full beer. It was like a third of a beer.
yeah.
But my boyfriend and I like to go out and try different microbrews. It's just something I love. I love the dark beer. Like Guinness is my favorite.
Oh,
I know I like Guinness. because a stout. I love stouts and porters. Like the real heavy.
You would fit in well in England or in Scotland
Yeah.
or somewhere out there.
Right. In Ireland is where I tried the Guinness. It was the best Guinness I've ever had in my life. It was room temperature.
Yeah, disgusting. A Guinness
But
from time to time, a beer from
right,
time to time is not going to be
right,
harmful
right,
or detrimental. We're talking about people who drink regularly.
right,
We're not telling people to
right,
miss out on a great opportunity to catch up with friends or with family.
right. That's right. Yeah,
Gotta make-
sometimes. Although all my medications say stay away from alcohol, and I'm like, nope, not happening. I gotta feel my sense of normalcy.
That's definitely important when so many things have changed and things
Yeah,
are quote unquote not normal anymore. Things are very different from what was normal.
right. But as I shared with you, the fact that I can eat normal and sleep normal are two huge things that changed in my life, that shifted for the better because of the stroke. So kind of grateful in that way for that.
Well, gratitude's a big thing. And if you can be grateful for something that's come out of stroke, well, that's a
Yeah,
good start to being grateful for other things later on. And gratitude is so underrated.
yeah,
And I know things
yeah,
are tough when you're going through stroke because life's tough when you have a stroke and recovering from it,
right.
when you're a hemiplegic and all that stuff.
Yes,
So, I get it. But if you can be grateful for unexpected things, then that's amazing. And I had some unexpected things
yeah,
that occurred to me. And one of those things for me was that because my brain was offline, my head was offline. I, I used to I used to be considered like a head case in the past. I'm no longer a head case. I'm no longer an overthinker. I've connected to my body better. I discovered that I had emotions. I discovered that I had a heart. I discovered a whole bunch of,
right. Monkey brain.
yeah, it went away. I,
Wow,
I wouldn't
it's good to
say,
stay connected.
yeah. I wouldn't say that I would definitely not change anything. Absolutely. If I could avoid having a stroke, but the lessons, I would rather have the lessons without the stroke. But unfortunately for me, there was only one way to have those types of lessons, and
Yeah,
it came from a stroke.
right. That's the lesson.
So you've come a long way. I'm so grateful that you reached out and that you were willing to be on the podcast. I really appreciate it. It's going to be a great episode. We're going to see somebody who's so early on in their recovery. People are going to really
Yeah,
understand if they're further down the path of recovery, perhaps where they came from and how much they've moved forward. And that's what it's all about. We're trying to create awareness and we're trying to show that people can come a long way and they can overcome some major drama.
right. Timeline. Yeah, interview me again in another year. We'll see how far I
All right, let's pop that in the calendar
go.
so we don't have to rely on memory.
Yeah.
Erica, thank you
This is
so much
great.
for your time. It was really lovely
Yes.
to get to know you for a little bit.
Discover how to support your recovery after stroke. Go to recoveryafterstroke.com.